As we've mentioned before, we never met in person, at least the three of us. We've been doing this show virtually since we started here. And before that, we all met basically through typing on a message board, and eventually that moved on to Facebook. And we were always looking for the opportunity for when we'd actually get to see each other in person. And Ron and I have met sporadically throughout the years, and I met Dewey in person finally a year ago, so ago.
It's
But we
great.
have some bigger news.
A couple of months ago, we were chit chatting. It's really wild
So
because
wow.
I think Ron said it first. Ron talked about he was planning
We
a
were
trip with
texting
his
each other.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we knew Ron was coming, and he was coming the first week of December. And then the next time that I talked to Tony, uh, he, Tony dropped the bomb. He was like, "Oh, hey, by the way, my wife and I are planning a trip." And I was like, "Oh, really cool. When?" And I was thinking he was going to say like, summer 2026
Yeah.
or something. And he was like, "First week of December." And I was like, "Wait a minute, like, Ron's coming down at the same time." And if I'm remembering correctly, I don't know that you two had talked about it. And I'm not even
No.
sure that you two knew that your trips were going to overlap.
Intercept. Yeah.
Not at all. I knew Ron was going in December. I remember him mentioning that he were thinking about doing that, but we never got to say, I never got to hear that he was actually doing it. And in the middle of the year, actually funny enough, somebody at work in the summertime went to Disney World and got me this mug. And I think this kind of spurred everything on. I came home and I told my wife Jen, I was like, "Hey, look, we haven't been to Disney in a while, and I actually get vacation days that I'm going to lose if I don't use them this year." We thought about it, and we thought about when we were going to go, but every time we were planning it, was just a little bit too close. Like we thought about this maybe at the end of August, and we were thinking of October, but that demanded a little bit more planning to do. So then all of a sudden, Jen said, "Well, let's go the first week of December because that's when I used to go with my parents." And just to backtrack really quickly, we used to have elderly parents who loved Disney World, and we used to go there every year with them. After the 2000s, up until around 2011, we used to go very frequently to Walt Disney World. We went on cruises, we went on this one, always with her parents, and that was a major thing about it. And we hadn't been able to do that since we lost them over the past 5 or 6 years, and I didn't have any time off to do that either. So we said, okay, let's go during that first week of December. And then Ron, you started posting to our group chat about that you guys were looking forward to meeting up with Dewey. And I'm like, hold on a second. That's the same time we're going to be there. So
That
that
was
was really funny.
crazy.
Yeah.
So it
But by
was
that,
a very lucky coincidence.
yeah.
Yeah.
You would think that be, since we do this show together, that the
Hmm.
first people we would have talked about, uh, you know, the trips would have been each other.
Yeah.
But uh, because we haven't been recording the show, we haven't been talking as much. Just mostly quick hellos and how's it going, but not really having lengthy conversations like when we were planning shows before. So I guess it kind of just slipped through the cracks. So we when we had the big revelation, it was like, wait a minute, Ron and Tony are going to be here at the same time.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity we've been literally been waiting for 20 years. We can't allow this opportunity to slide by us. So and so what we got together, I think it was on the Tuesday, so a couple days after. So I wasn't able to really get together with you guys over the weekend. You guys were in the parks and stuff with your families,
Yeah.
and then Ron, you and I were planning to meet at Hollywood Studios.
Yep.
And so we were, texting with each other. And Tony, I think you were at Epcot that day,
Right.
right?
We had we had all planned out our days. The way Disney is nowadays, you've got to plan out your dinners and your day pretty much of what you're going to do. And when I found out that you guys were going, we were trying to figure out what would be the best day to meet. And originally we were going to meet on that Sunday,
Yeah.
because it turned out that even though our schedules didn't match up as to which parks we were going to be at, Ron, you were planning to go to Mickey's Merry Christmas Party,
Yep.
and we were going to be at Magic Kingdom that day. And because it was our first day there, we thought, okay, that'd be a perfect day because hopefully the park would be a little lighter. It's our first time back there in 14 years. Let's go and see what that's like, and then we can meet up with you guys and get an early night in because we had other plans for the rest of the week. So, but unfortunately, the those plans got scuttled because the weather
Yeah.
was crazy.
Oh, it's so bad. Yeah.
And listen, you guys know I live here. We
Yes,
have not
Yeah.
had rain. We haven't had rain in probably at least a month, maybe two. You know,
Thanks, dude. You could have done better for it.
dude, I'm telling you, we kept saying there's no way this Sunday is going to get washed out because it hasn't rained in 2 months. And then it wasn't rain on that Sunday,
No,
y'all.
no,
it
It was a monsoon.
it
It
was a
was
monsoon. Absolutely,
crazy.
that was the craziest rain that I mean, we literally were in a foot deep water trying to get to the trams to leave the park that day at 6 p.m. And Ron, you had to exchange your tickets, right? You didn't even end up going to the party.
yeah, we unfortunately we our trip got a little rough start, and so we ended up the day that we were supposed to be at Epcot being at an urgent care instead.
Mm,
And Disney was so gracious to allow us to take a rain check and extend that ticket to Wednesday, extending our vacation. So I went to guest services and said, "Look, I'm sure a refund is not going to be available, but we can't bring two people that are fighting staying healthy and have them stand in rain all night." I
yeah.
said, "Dude, they were so gracious and just said, well, what's the best thing?" I said, well, obviously the best thing that could happen because we can't extend another night. They didn't have opportunity to just move our tickets to Tuesday night because it was a sold out party as well. And I could extend any further with my work schedule. And I said, so the best thing that could happen is a refund. But I said, just tell me what the options are. And he's like, well, we'll make a refund work. And I was really dumbfounded by that.
That's great.
So we've been watching the weather, for 5 or 6 days,
Yeah,
and I was going to hop on the monorail and go over and meet you guys at Magic Kingdom, before the party and everything. And the weather had been saying, 20%, then it was 60%, then it was 40%. Every day it
yeah.
changed. When I say monsoon, I'm talking, water was 4 inches deep on, the walkways and
Yeah,
stuff.
you're
And
not kidding. That's the best way of describing it. And
yes,
waiting for a tram in that was not pleasant either, even though we were protected.
so Sunday didn't happen, and we were all pretty disappointed. I'd already had plans to meet with Ron on Tuesday at Hollywood Studios, but Tony, you had a full day at
We
Epcot,
did.
bro. You
We'd
had
planned.
reservations for lunch and dinner
We did.
and everything, right?
Yes, we had pre-planned because when you're coming in from the outside, you've got to pre-plan your dinners like 60 days in advance. So we had kept trying to, since it's been so long since we've been there, we wanted to try a lot of the newer stuff we hadn't been able to do. But I wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to meet each other. And since we had the park hopper, even though we had our day fully planned, when we finished lunch at Epcot, which is at about 3 or something like that, because it was like our reservation was about 1:30. Um, we took a look and I said, you know what? What if we had a dinner planned later that night? I said, what if we were able to get our reservation from the next day at MGM we were going to go to or Hollywood Studios and move that to Tuesday. Let's see if it's available because we wanted to go to the Brown Derby. So I said, is the Brown Derby available tonight? So I looked, it was. I said, okay, that's it. We'll book it for then, and then we'll be able to meet the guys. So it
Wow.
worked out perfectly.
That did. I didn't
Yeah.
realize you made all those changes. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. So I worked that day, so left and got there about 45 minutes later, and met Ron and got to hang out with Ron for a little bit. We went and Ron was very accommodating, and he was like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "Ron, I live here. This is your vacation. I'm literally, even if I'm just standing in line with you, like it doesn't matter. I'm just hanging out with you. I will go wherever you and your family goes." We mostly just hung out, walked around, and you were shopping for a Mickey Mouse sweatshirt, and like I
Which you
said,
eventually found.
yeah, he found,
Eventually.
and then we didn't think Tony was going to be able to make it, and then he started texting, and he said, "All right, we're finished with lunch, and I'm going to try and switch my dinner, and if I can." We're gonna try and come over and meet you guys at the studios because y'all were still at Epcot.
Yep.
And finally, after 15, 20 minutes or so, Tony responds back again and says, reservations changed. We're on our way. So that was really exciting. We were really actually excited to actually make it happen because it would have been crazy. And Tony, I think you said this when we were texting. There's no way we can't make this happen. We're all
Yeah.
three here at the same time. We have to make it happen.
Yeah.
And it was fun. I'm glad that we actually finally did. And it was, obviously meant to happen. We met at the crossroads of the road over there, right? The
Yeah, we were.
crossroads of the
That's when we were sweatshirt
something.
shopping with
Yeah.
Ron at that point.
Right.
And so you said we're here, so we popped out of the store onto the street, and
Yeah.
and there we were. First time the three of us, like we said, I've hung out with Ron a few times
Yeah.
over the years. Tony, you and I didn't meet in person for over 20 years.
20 years. Yeah.
Finally met when last year my son and I were in New York for a concert
Right.
back in August of 2024. But it's crazy. We've known each other probably close to 25 years now.
Something like that. Almost. Yeah.
22, 23, whatever.
Yeah.
But this was the first time the three of us had been together all at the same time. So,
And it was at Walt Disney World of all places
well, I
at
mean, I
Hollywood
guess it
Studios.
kind of had to be, right?
Yeah.
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 It was meant to be that way.
And
So,
and that meant a lot. So it was really cool to spend some time with you guys there.
It was a lot
and
of fun.
yeah, I mean, and it, Tony, you had dinner reservations.
Yeah.
Ron, y'all were going to get in line for Fantasmic or something, I
we
think.
were.
So, and I get up at 4:30 for work every morning, so I wasn't planning on staying very late. So I think I was only there for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
But
It was
we
a
hung
great
out for.
visit though. We had fun. Even though it was short, it was definitely a meaningful something that I'll remember for a long time.
Yeah. Same here.
Absolutely.
And like you guys said, we're better for the three of us to meet than at Disney.
Well, it was, I mean, we probably hung out there on the street for about a half hour or so, just
About, yeah.
chit chat, and then we kind of reviewed our experiences with the rain the previous couple days ago and everything. But I guess it's even though we don't know each other, like hanging out and on a day-to-day basis, we've known each other for over 20 years. So
Yeah.
it felt very comfortable. I have met people that I met online and then met them in person, and it was weird or awkward or, I don't know. But definitely was not that way at all. It was just like we were old friends, which we are. And it was really special that we finally got to all get together at the same time, and very fitting and appropriate that it happened at Walt Disney World. That was perfect, actually.
Absolutely.